What's up, YouTube? Timmy's here. Now, since November came and went, I just saw a lot of really interesting films come November. So I'm of course gonna be doing my ranking of the films I saw in November, from my least favorite, always my favorite, etc. Now I pretty much saw about 30 films in November, so not not bad there. Anyway, so here is my ranking. All right. Number 30, the worst film I saw in November is I actually just saw this literally yesterday. And that's a movie called Armor. Now, this movie stars Sylvester Stallone, Jason Patrick, as we're tasked with delivering a suspicious package. A father and son duo of armored truck drivers must outwit and outgun themselves of these while trapped on a bridge. Now, I do like Sylvester Stallone. If you guys haven't watched Tulsa King, Tulsa King's terrific. Rocky, obviously, Rambo, Stallone, could always be good. But holy cow, this movie really felt more like, let's say, a Steven Seagal movie at times. Like, it's just bad, so boring. The characters I didn't care much for. It's a really terrible one. All right, number 29 is Absolution. Now, of course, this is the new Liam Neeson movie that came out, and it's it's not good. It's a shame too because I thought the trailer looked decent. It was from the same director of Co Pursuit, which I actually quite enjoyed. But this one just didn't do anything for me. It's where Liam Neeson plays this Boston gangster who tries to reconnect with his family and fix mistakes from his past, and of course his criminal lifestyle soon threatens to destroy everything he holds you know he holds dear here. And Liam Neeson, it's such a shame that he hasn't really had an action movie that quite, except that car movie he did, Retribution, I think it was called. That was actually alright, but his other stuff like Memory was pretty terrible. In the Land of Saints or Sinners or whatever that thing was called wasn't so good. Yeah, I've always liked Liam Neeson. Whether it's Taken, Run or Night, Nonstop, or even his non-action stuff like Schindler's List and all. Liam Neeson is always the best. I mean, I'm a little biased with Liam Neeson because, well, I was an extra for one of his films, so I pretty much worked with him one time. But still, this thing just didn't do anything for me. All right, number 28, I'm going with the film Here. Now, I was so excited for this one. You got the director of Forrest Gump, the writer of Forrest Gump, two of the stars of Forrest Gump. So, Forrest Gump obviously is one of my favorite films of the 90s. So, that alone piqued my interest here. But my god, this thing was so abysmal. It was really boring. None of the I did not really care much for the characters at all. Like Tom Hanks, Robin Wright, and even Paul Bettany was okay. They play off each other really well, but it just didn't do anything for me. It's such a shame too because I like Robinson Zemeckis. I even like this Pinocchio film. I don't care what anyone says, but this here just didn't do anything for me. So yeah, number 27 is Black Cab. Now this is the horror film with that came to Shudder with Nick Frost, where this couple goes gets a taxi cab that's run by Nick Frost, and crazy stuff happens. I like Nick Frost, and he was actually okay in this, but the movie itself didn't do anything for me. It just wasn't so. It was just pretty boring here. Wasn't even all that scary. Didn't care much for the characters at all. So not a good one. All right. 26 is The Merry Gentleman. Now, this is, of course, one of the Netflix Christmas movies with Chad Michael Murray, Brett Robertson. It's not a great one at all. I mean, there are three other Christmas movies that premiered, which I'll talk about here in a bit. But this one was definitely the worst out of the four. It's just so. It really felt like just a Christmas Magic Mike. It was so predictable at times. The script dialogue wasn't good. I didn't really care for that one too much. All right, number 25 is the best Christmas pageant ever. Now, I actually was hoping this would be good, but it just didn't do anything for me. It was completely boring. Didn't care much for the characters. The It wasn't even all that funny either. I just really didn't care for it at all. So, yeah. All right, number 24 is Nutcrackers. Of course, this is the Christmas Hulu film with Ben Stiller, and it's also pretty terrible. I love Ben Stiller, but this movie wasn't really all that funny. It was completely boring. Didn't do anything to didn't really do anything for me here. Uh, so yeah, not really a great one. All right, number 23 is Dear Santa. Now, Dear Santa, I actually wanted to like because you got Jack Black. About a kid who, of course, accidentally writes to Satan rather than Santa. If you guys want to see a better version of that, just watch the sci-fi horror film that came out a couple years back. That's actually a better version of this. But this just wasn't all that funny at all. Of course, directed by Bobby Farrelly, who I like the Farrelly brothers. But this movie just wasn't funny. Did not care much for the characters. The parents was pretty terrible. I mean, yeah, it shows why they decided to dump this thing on Paramount Plus instead of theirs. So yeah. All right, now the films I actually did quite enjoy. Number 22 is Meet Me Next Christmas. Now, of course, this is the rom com Christmas rom com with Christina Milian, who is of course trying to get tickets for Pentatonics. And it's actually a really charming little one. Her and her chemistry with her lead guy in this was pretty decent. I adore Christina Milian. She was pretty decent in this too. So not a bad little film worth giving a go. All right, number 21. I'm going with Our Little Secret. Now, of course, this is the Lindsay Lohan one. It was actually pretty charming. Where Lindsay Lohan and Ian Harding are two resentful exes who must awkwardly spend Christmas together after learning their partners, after I kid you not, learning their partners are siblings. So yeah, that's a little bit of a weird premise, but it actually has some really decent charm to it. Lindsay Lohan and Ian Harding was pretty decent. It was definitely pretty charming to check out, sadly. So, and I love Lindsay Lohan. Really glad to see her having a little bit of a comeback. So, not a bad little one. All right. Number 20 is An Almost Christmas Story. Now, technically, this is more of a short film than a feature length one, but it's actually a really decent little one. It's where like an owl named Moon unexpectedly finds himself in a Christmas tree designed for Rockefeller Center. And this is actually from director David Lowery, who gave us like Peter Pan and Wendy, Pete's Dragon, and it's also produced by Alfonso Cuarón, who gave us Harry Potter and the Prince of Azkaban, and other stuff. And you also got the voices of Natasha Lyonne, John C. Reilly. It's a really charming little one. It really brings you back to like those Christmas shorts from like the '60s and stuff like that. Like Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph, and stuff like that. Really brings you back to those type of Christmas projects. And this is a really decent little one worth giving a go. So if you guys haven't seen it, it's on Disney Plus. I think you might enjoy. All right. Number 19 is Joy, which is of course about the first like test tube baby and all. And Bill Nye is actually pretty solid in this. Thomasin McKenzie's really good. Definitely has some decent elements to it. Crazy to believe that this actually happened. So not a bad film. Worth giving a go. All right. Number 18, I'm going with Your Monster. Now, technically, this was an October release, but I was a little late to the party of it, so I'm adding it in my November list. Of course, this is with Melissa Barrera, who of course discovers like this monster living in her house, and she of course falls in love with it. Definitely has a little bit of a Beauty and the Beast vibe. Pretty much feels like a better version of that Alex Pettyfer, Mary Kay Olsen, Vanessa Hudgens film called Beastly. Remember that one that came out back in like 2011? Definitely seemed like a better version of that. It's really charming. Definitely has some cool horror elements to it. Melissa Barrera, I thought was excellent in this one. Really decent little film worth giving a go. All right. Number 17 is another Christmas rom com, and that is Hot Frosty. Hot Frosty sounds a little dumb. Where of course a woman ends up bring like a snowman to life and it's actually a pretty charming one. Lacey Chabert of course was really good in this. Craig Robinson, Dustin Milligan, who plays the snowman, was pretty decent. Really nice little film worth giving a go. All right. Number 16 is another Christmas film, and that is Red One. So lots of Christmas movies this month, but anyway, Red One is a dumb film. I would admit that, but I had a fun time with it. Dwayne Johnson, I thought was pretty fun in this. Chris Evans, I still wasn't too big with Curtis Shipka's character. Like I like Curtis Shipka, which I'll talk about her here, in another, here in a bit. But I could not really buy her as a villain. She was pretty much like this Elsa type villain character, and she didn't really do anything for me. So that's definitely one. And of course, J.K. Simmons was pretty solid as Santa. So now I know the reviews wasn't the best, but it's actually not a bad film in my opinion. All right, number 15 is Spellbound. Now, of course, it's the anime film from the director of Shrek. Where of course Princess Elaine, voiced by Rachel Zegler, must break the spell that turned her parents into monsters and split kingdoms into two. And this is actually a pretty decent little one. The music is pretty good. Uh, the voices are by Rachel Zegler, Javier Bardem, Nicole Kidman, John Lithgow. It was a really decent little film worth giving a go. All right. Number 14 is Beatles 64. Now, I just checked this one out yesterday. It's a really decent documentary about the Beatles on the U.S. In the aftermath of their 3 weeks visit to the country. And of course, this was produced by Martin Scorsese. You had interviews by the likes of Paul McCartney, Smokey Robinson. Some really interesting interviews here. And I've always liked the Beatles. Obviously, they're way ahead of my time, but I used to always get a kick out of the Beatles music. Although, I feel like it was that movie Across the Universe that made me appreciate them a little more, really. You remember that music movie that featured like Beatles music in it? Yeah, I don't know. The Beatles music has always been intriguing, and I always do like seeing 80s stories about the Beatles, and this was actually a pretty decent one. All right, number 13 is another music documentary that premiered on Disney Plus, and that is Music by John Williams. Of course, this is based on pretty much a documentary about John Williams, the guy who scored music from the likes of Star Wars, to Indiana Jones, Home Alone, Harry Potter, etc. I adore this one. Of course, this was from Ron Howard, Steven Spielberg produced this. It's a really intriguing one, worth giving a go. Really showcase on who John Williams was, and his life and his career, and of course, his music out the Hollow Bow. It's a really solid one, worth giving a go. All right. Number 12 is another film that premiered in October, but I was a little late to the party with this and didn't really get to see it in November because I decided to do a double dose of Saoirse Ronan. Number 12 is The Outrun. Of course, this is where Saoirse Ronan's character is living life on the edge of London, and of course, she attempts to come to terms with her troubled past. And Saoirse Ronan, I could really see her getting some Oscar love for this. She is excellent in this movie. Really showcase out on how probably the best that Saoirse Ronan has been in recent years. Um, yeah, if you guys haven't seen us, definitely give it a go. Now, speaking of Saoirse Ronan, another Ronan film in this list, number 11 is Blitz, about this young kid who is sent away to evacuate the city, and Saoirse Ronan plays the mother trying to look for a kid and all. It's a solid one. Of course, it does take place in World War II. In London, Saoirse Ronan, the one who plays the kid, was pretty good. I can really see Saoirse Ronan probably getting more an Oscar nomination for this more than Outrun, but she was excellent in both films. Um, of course, directed by Steve McQueen, who did a good job with this. I mean, I thought it was a really solid film worth giving a go. All right, now here is my official top 10 films of them up. Number 10 is Out of My Mind. Now, this is, of course, the story of Melody, a nonverbal 12-year-old with cerebral palsy, navigating 6th grade. And this movie was much better than having intentions being. I didn't really know much about it until I saw the trailer and horror. And I actually thought it was really charming. I thought the girl in this was pretty solid. Rosemary DeWitt was pretty good. Judith Light. I thought it was a really decent little film worth giving a go. All right. Speaking of Curtis Shipka, number 9 is Sweethearts. About these two college freshmen who decide to pull a turkey dump and break up with their high school sweethearts over the over Thanksgiving. And it's actually a really solid one. Like Curtis Shipka and the one who plays her lead guy, Nico Harwick, I think his name is. They were pretty solid. This really felt like a modern take, Gen Z take of, let's say, When Harry Met Sally. Definitely got a little bit of When Harry Met Sally vibe with this too. It's really decent and worth giving a go. It's also on Max if you guys haven't seen it. All right. Number 8 is, of course, Conclave. Another film that technically premiered in November, but I didn't really get to see it in November. But yeah, Conclave was really good. Definitely, I could see Ray Fiennes winning an Oscar for this. I'm actually gonna try this on. John Lithgow was terrific in this. The guy, forgot the guy's name. What's the director's name again? Conclave. Yeah, Edward Berger. Why did I froze up on his name? Who did that? All Quiet on the Western Front. He did a great job with this. I thought it was a really solid one worth giving a go. All right, number 7 is Gladiator 2. Now, a really decent follow-up to the original Gladiator. Not as good as the original, but I still had a fun time with this. Denzel definitely is probably going to get some Oscar love for this. Ridley Scott. Really glad to see Ridley Scott making a better film than Napoleon. I thought it was a really decent one worth giving a go. All right. Number 6 is The Piano Lesson. Now, of course, this is about takes place in 1936 Pittsburgh during the Great Depression, and it follows the lives of the Charles families in the Doker Charles household in the heirloom on the family piano. And of course, Sam Jackson was terrific in this. Danielle Deadwater, John David Washington, two Washingtons in this list, by the way. And directed by Denzel's son, Malcolm Washington. I thought it was a really solid one, worth giving a go. Great performances all around. Definitely is going to get some Oscar love, too. Alright. Number 5 is Emilia Perez. Now, people are saying that Ariana Grande should probably win for Wicked, but you know what? I'm thinking Best Supporting Actress win is going to be Zoe Saldana for this. Holy cow. Zoe Saldana, probably the best performance she's given in years. I just thought she was excellent in this. Like, her music number, by the way, I always keep forgetting the name of the song, though. It's very catchy, too. But the song, like, this music number she sings in this, that song is definitely going to get, not only going to get nominated, but definitely going to win, Best Original Song. Of course, Selena Gomez was terrific in this. Edgar Ramirez. I thought it was a really solid film, worth giving a go. Alright. Oh, and the cinematography is terrific, too. Alright, number 4 is Herrick. Now, Herrick, of course, stars Hugh Grant, and it's about these two girls, from Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, who convert this man played by Hugh Grant. But he is more dangerous than he seems, and Hugh Grant is so good and creepy in this. It's so cool seeing like a creepy Hugh Grant. Like, whenever you think of Hugh Grant, you always think of him how charming he is and stuff like that. Seeing him go like for a darker path was interesting. The two girls, Chloe East and Zoe Datch, I thought was pretty good. I thought it was a really decent little horror film worth giving a go. Alright, number 3 is Moana 2. Now, again, not as good as the first film. Like, the music isn't even as good as the music from the first film. I think that's because Lin-Manuel Miranda has nothing to do with the music. Maybe that could be it. But I still thought Moana 2 was still a pretty good film. The scenery was pretty decent. Aaliyah Cavallo once again was great as Moana. Dwayne Johnson as Maui. After seeing this, I cannot wait to see the live action one coming. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a Moana 2. All right. Number 2 is A Real Pain. Now, of course, this is about Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin, who plays mismatched cousins, David and Benji, who pretty much reunite for like a tour to Poland to honor their beloved grandmother. And A Real Pain, I can really see Kieran Culkin winning his Oscar for this because he was excellent in this one. His chemistry with Jesse Eisenberg was terrific. Jennifer Grey was also good in this. I thought it was a really decent little film worth giving a go. And my number 1 favorite film, like the best film of November, is Wicked. I just saw this again recent, and this movie is excellent. It's definitely going to be in my top 10 favorite films of the year. The music is terrific. Ariana Grande should definitely get some Oscar love. Cynthia Erivo is terrific. Cannot wait for part 2 when that comes out. I just adore this one so much. Just love the music, love the scenery. It's just an amazing one. I mean, if you guys haven't seen it, definitely give it a go. But that's pretty much it there. Now, here is my quick rundown. Dirty Armor, 29 Absolution, 28 Here, 27 Black Cab, 26 The Merry Gentleman, 25 The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, 24 Nutcrackers, 23 Dear Santa, 22 Meet Me Next Christmas, 21 Our Little Secret, 20 An Almost Christmas Story, 19 Joy, 18 Your Monster, 17 Hot Frosty, 16 Red Wine, 15 Spellbound, 14 Beals 64, 13 Music by John Williams, 12 The Outrun, 7 Blitz, 10 Out of My Mind, 9 Sweethearts, 8 Conclave, 7 Gladiator 2, 6 The Piano Lesson, 5 Amila Perez, 4 Herrick, 3 Moana 2, 2 A Real Pain, and number 1 Wicked. Let me let you guys. What would your rankings of your favorite and your least favorite films of November will be? Drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notification. This is Simon signing.